So here we are for part 2 of this lesson now. Normally in a normal school year, I actually take like 2 days to teach this lesson because again, it's a lot all in one. So we already talked about property damage mostly and collision. So damage to a vehicle, be it yours or somebody else's. Now these questions are going to be talking about bodily injury insurance. Now again, it should say here, this is liability insurance. So this protects other people when you cause an accident, right? Liability insurance is for when it's your fault. That money goes towards paying for other people's stuff, right? So we have to be kind of careful with this because it's kind of weird how it works. So Bob was in an auto accident, just Bob, rampaging everywhere. I don't know what it is he's doing, but he was negligent, and so he caused an accident. He has 100, 300 bodily injury insurance. So we're going to pause here and remember what this means. So we wrote it down way back here. The first number to start with is actually, again, both of these are actually thousands. So 100 means 100,000. Max per person. So this is the insurance company. That's the most they will pay for the medical bills per person. The second number, once again, is still 1,000, 300,000. So if it said 10, 15, that'd be 10,000, 15,000, 250, 500, 250,000, 500,000, so forth and so on. But the second number, again, is the max for the accident. They will not pay out more than $300,000 for the whole accident. So here's what we have to do. We have to look at each individual person, and then we can look at the accident as a whole. It is possible that underneath this little requirement, $100,000 most per person, that each person could be covered just based off that. But when we look at the accident as a whole, not everything is covered. So we're going to have to look at that here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the per person. One person was awarded $140,000. So there's that. And each of the other two was awarded $75,000. So we're going to break this down per person because that's what we have to look at first. Once again, we are looking at the per person first. But we're still going to do the same thing we did in the last lesson, where we break down what Bob has to pay per person versus the insurance company. Bob, insurance company. Bob, insurance company. Okay, so looking at the per person, let's look at this first person. The most the insurance company will pay per person is $100,000. So, will the insurance company cover all of this person's medical bills? Nope. They will only cover $100,000 at the most. What does that mean for Bob? Bob has to cover the rest. So, what's left over for him to have to pay out of his own pocket? $40,000 he would have to pay out of his own pocket for this person. Because again, the most the insurance company will pay per person is $100,000. Now these two guys are going to have the same breakdown because they're different people, but they're the same amounts. So just looking at the per person, we're going to look at those. They're going to be the same. So for this person, will insurance cover everything or not? Again, $100,000 is the most they'll pay per person. So will they cover all of that? Yes. Now again, they're going to cover $75,000. Don't write $100,000. Why would you think the company would go, you only needed $75,000, but we're going to give you $100,000 because that's the most we'll pay. So we'll just give you, no, these companies work on profit, right? They'll only cover as much as necessary. The most they'll cover is $100,000, which is why we put $100,000 here. But over here, they don't need to cover $100,000. So 75 is our answer, and therefore Bob has to cover what? 0 from this guy. This person is going to be the exact same as well. Insurance will cover all of it. Bob doesn't have to cover any. Now, what we have to do here, though, is we need to look at the max for the accident. So This is what we did here. This is the per person. Now let's look at the accident as a whole. So, because the question does say, how much does the insurance company pay? So we are focusing on the insurance company here, because that's what they're asking. How much does the insurance company pay? Well, these three things the insurance company is going to pay. However, we have to double check that this total does not come out to be more than $300,000. Again, that's the max for the accident now, is $300,000. So we need to double check that first, because yes, again, on an individual level, it could look like the insurance company is covering most stuff. But if you look at the accident and it reaches more than $300,000, the insurance company is going to go, that's where we draw the line. Sorry, you're going to have to pay the rest of whatever's left over. So let's add these three numbers together and make sure that it does not come out to be more than $300,000. So I'm going to go to the calculator. I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but that's okay. 100,000. Be very careful with your zeros. Plus 75. 1, 2, 3. Plus 75. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so $250,000 is what the insurance company would pay. And actually, just to double check again, will they pay all of this? Is this less than the maximum for the total accident that they would pay? It is. So that's our answer. Our answer could not be more than $300,000 because, again, that's the most the insurance company will pay for the entire accident. But again, because the entire accident is less than $300,000, he will pay. The insurance company will pay all of it. Now, I think in these types of questions, I typically only ask for what the insurance company is having to pay. Let me hit my line here. Yeah, but just keep an eye out here. If the question did say how much does Bob have to pay, Bob has $40,000 still out of his own pocket. That's usually how that works. Now, sometimes it can be difficult to get Bob to pay that. They might have to garnish his wages and withhold money from his paycheck to get him to pay it. But yeah, Bob's going to be responsible for this amount. This is zero, so Bob would only be responsible for the $40,000. Insurance company would pay the $250,000. So we're going to try one more. Again, we need to look at the per person first and then the total for the accident. That can change our answer. So I want you to write out what this means to start with, and then we'll come back to the question. 50, 100, what does the 50 tell us? What does the 100 tell us? Just to make sure we remember. Well, 50 tells us that it is $50,000 max per person is what the insurance company will pay. But for the accident, the max they will pay is $100,000. You have to have that memorized. Or in your notes, obviously nice and clear for you to refer to. Okay, so let's look at the per person first. I'm going to kind of break this down, just it's kind of tricky. I know it says check your understanding, but I'm going to kind of break it down. It says she hears 28 children riding a school bus, and each child is awarded $10,000. Man, again, she must have just caused this school bus to topple down a mountain or something. I have no idea. Now, even though there are 28 children, you don't have to go 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 28 times, because the individual breakdowns will all be the same when you're looking at the per person level. So you only need to do one of these. We have Joan, and we have the insurance. But then just realize that there are 28 of them. So take a moment. We're looking at the per person. The most the insurance company will pay is $50,000. So looking here, how much would Joan have to pay? How much would the insurance company have to pay? And then we'll come back. Okay, well, if the insurance company will pay $50,000 max per person, all of this will get covered. Once again, I'm not writing 50,000 because there's no need for 50,000. Each person only gets 10,000. Because that's less than the maximum, all of it gets covered. And Joan doesn't have to cover anything. But now we need to look at the accident. You always have to look at the accident. Because again, on the per person level, it could look like everybody is covered by insurance. But if you look at the accident level, it's possible the insurance company's not going to pay all of it. So find the total for the accident. The insurance company is going to pay $10,000 for 28 people. How much is that total? Well, $10,000 times 28. This is 28, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the total for the accident. The most the insurance company will pay for the accident is $100,000. So I'll jot that down. Max $100,000 because this is the accident. Here, the max was $50,000 per person, right? Here it's $100,000. Will the insurance company pay for all of this? Nope. That goes over the maximum that they will have to pay. So here's what this means then. Because that goes over the maximum, what they will pay is just the maximum. $100,000 is our answer. If you need to write down here, because the total exceeds the maximum. This is our answer because yes, on a per person level, it looks like each person would be covered. But on the total accident level, nope. They'd only pay $100,000. And again, what that means is Joan's going to be responsible for the rest. $180,000 she would be responsible for and be hounded for and possibly have to declare bankruptcy for if she can't afford to pay that back. So we are not going to do the challenge question just because it's a challenge for a reason. I'm going to try and keep these to this level at most in your homework. So now you can go try the second part of this homework. Again, be very careful. Look at the per person first and then the per accident.